a feel good Friday. Why don't y'all come my way? See what I have in store for you today. Hey, this is our time now. Come on and gather around. It's Dr. Dre, I'm here to say.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of season 3 of Feel Good Fridays. Because guess what? It's a Feel Good Friday. It's a Feel Good. It's a Feel Good. It's a Feel Good Friday. Okay, I'm glad you hit it. I hope you're having an amazing Friday, keeping a smile on your face, because it's another episode of Feel Good Fridays. And yes, once again, we do have a special guest today, all the way from the DMV, Washington, D.C., Howard University, College of Medicine, 4th-year medical student, the Honorable Dr. Zackary Brown. I'm excited about this one. So let's head over there to the episode. Let's see what they're talking about. See y'all over there. Right. Hello, everyone, and yes, we are in episode 7 of season 3. And yes, like I said 10 seconds ago, we have the incomparable and honorable Dr. Zackary Brown. Welcome to Feel Good Fridays.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, we're going to talk about a lot of things on today's episode, from healthcare to encouragement to obstacles to being Black men in America. So we got a lot to talk about, but before we do that, Zach is going to give his synopsis of his introduction. So the floor is yours, Dr. Brown.
Hello, everybody. I am Zackary Brown. I am from Texas. I went to Vanderbilt for undergrad, and I'm now in 4th year at Howard, and I'm heading into pediatrics. So there we go.
That's it right there. We love that. So let's hop right into the episode. Since we're covering, let me get a little synopsis. Since we're covering a lot today, and I want to talk a lot, we're gonna leave the amazing Tabitha Brown for 2 weeks episode, so we got a lot to talk about today. So let's jump right into it. So I have a couple questions I'm going to ask Dr. Brown, and so I hope y'all enjoy this episode. So one of the first questions, Zach has already stated that he's a 4th-year med student and is about to get into the real world and become a physician. So people want to know, how did you get started in medicine, healthcare? How did it all begin?
Yeah. So yeah. With me being from Texas, I'm from a very small place. I went to a high school of about 150 in each class. And so with that being said, it was a predominantly brown and Black, and there also weren't huge opportunities. There also weren't huge opportunities for us to make it out. And so with that being said, I am the first one in my family to. I am the first one I'm the first one in my family to actually finish high school. And then from
Exactly. Kudos to you, number one. We're number one.
Appreciate that one. And so from that point on, things have kind of been there have been highs and been there's also been a very large, there's also been very large holes also.
The mountains and the valleys.
Yeah, absolutely. Ups and downs all day, every day. And so having to figure out all of these places on my own has been a very interesting thing. But I've always kind of understood that like I wanted to do health work. Always wanted to be in medicine. It's always been this. It's always been this huge hope. And so with that being said, being at Vanderbilt, there were huge opportunities to get involved. However, I didn't understand how to be in these places and how to actually take advantage of these opportunities. And so I think I was truly blessed in the sense of I had people at every chapter who were very hands-on, who I think were very quick to honestly put me at each of these tables and say, hey, have a voice, hey, be here and say this and take full advantage of what is here. And so with that being said, as it was the first summer of my first year. I had took a trip with a small group of us to a whole other country where we had did more like health service and a blend of health and more public health and things also. And I think being in this place where it was this huge intersection of both medical health and also social health, that honestly was one huge eye opener. And it was, I think, the spark of it all, of like, this is where I want to be. I want to have a huge impact on folks both in the hospital and out of it also, and to have change and to actually create change. It isn't only in the four walls of this hospital, but it's in these cities, it's in these it is in programs, it's in our schools. And so from that point on, I've been very clear and very adamant about my mission and my purpose and what I aim for as I'm hoping to work with children from this point on. So absolutely.
And I think that's important that you mentioned that about going across the country to do this experience that was an eye-opener. And I think in so many times, especially people in healthcare and especially medicine, it's kind of confined. Like, yes, I want to be a doctor, but like, what is, like, why? Like,
absolutely.
So I think that's the important key, like the eye-opening experience. Yes, we love like going to see the surgeries or being in the hospital, but it's also beyond that. And so I think that's the important key, because we're not only affecting patients in your room, in the clinic, and then it's way beyond that. It's more for your community, for the world in general. So I think that's important. And that leads me to my next question, which you kind of already hinted at, about your purpose, your passions, your why. So not only, like you said, affecting people in the children's clinic, but also you want to help children around the world. So tell us more about that.
Yeah. So I think for me personally, it is this whole concept of me wanting to have of me wanting having a huge it's me hoping to have a huge impact. And 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 with that being said, it's about a big impact that also have meaning and a purpose. And so I think it's why in the things I achieve and the things I focus on, it has this it all kind of fits in this one concept of trying to figure out this intersection of true health reform and true health impact. And so the things I work on, from projects, from being in the city and all of it, it is always with this purpose of being at the intersection of medical health and social health also. And I think for me that all comes from me growing up with only a mom and my brothers, and us not truly having health care all the time, if ever, honestly. And so the only times we ever actually saw a hospital, it was when we are like truly sick. Because if it was only a fever or cold, we had Vicks and Sprite and it was over with. That was it. We're not going anywhere else. And so
let's not sleep on Vicks though.
I mean, absolutely, it's a thing. It's a thing. But I think with that, understanding of what health was for me as a child, it also wants for me to now be what I wanted when I was a child. And that is, I think, what kind of triggers and what is my true passion in the things I achieve and the things I can focus on. It's always with this thought process of what is it that I also could have wanted as a child that I don't think I couldn't have. And that's always in the sense of health and changes and impacts, and who is that one voice that I wish I had at 4 or 5 or 6, and like
yes.
to be a voice for me and be a true advocate for that child who feels unheard, or who all of that. So
and I think that kind of transitions me into what I was leading. By the way, amazing answer. But I think that leads into my further question, like, being that, how has that been rewarding in a sense? I know you've done some rotations in many different cities and even in DMV and in Howard. So on that same note, what has been one of the most rewarding experiences? Yes, I know you said you wanted to be a light essentially to the world in which you were not seeing that light as a child, but how have you seen and been the light of the rewarding experiences since you started at Howard, or just in general?
Yeah, I think so. There is always one child that I always kind of bring up, because it was a moment. So it was a young black child. It was this young black child. And he came in with his mom. And here I come in, and I am very nervous. I think being a student, as I think I was an M3, so it's the first time where they kind of trust you to see the patients all alone. And so I'm in there and I'm like nervous. I'm outside, like, oh my gosh. Come on, Zach, let's go. And so I can walk in, and as I'm trying this whole intro, I am just fully stuttering over and over all my words. Like there's anything that like it's just horrible. And I think for me, having a stutter, there are times where things are okay, and there's other times where it's just anything ever, but in the moment it was just horrible. I was very anxious, I was nervous, it was the first time, and so I'm in this peaking, and the mom, like, she kind of chuckles and she looks at the child and says, "Oh, look, he also has a stutter."
Oh.
So the kid, like, is about 8 or 9, and I think he hears it also. And in the moment, it was kind of like this unspoken of this, like, we hear each other, and it was very interesting because in the moment the child began just talking, and we had this moment of just us just having a hope, just like, hey, like, how are you, how are things, how's school? And he just opened up. And by the end of it all, the mom had asked me, okay, is it possible for you to be his acting doctor? And I was like, well, I can't yet, I'm still a student, but in a few years, absolutely, yeah. But it was like I think in that moment, that is the one moment where it was like, this is why I chose this field, for all of these kids who have any hurdle, all these kids who feel anything, all these kids who feel unheard or feel like all of these things. I'm here for you, and I'm here to be a true advocate, but also be proof of like that it is all possible, and everybody has their own challenges, but with heart and passion, anything is possible overall. So
wow, like literally my a little watery. But I like being for real. I have no words. Like, I have no words. Like, literally so encouraging, so inspirational. I don't know, I'm lost of words. I'm gonna ask my last question because I'm for real lost of words. And so one of my last questions, we're wrapping up this episode. I'm still speechless, by the way. I wanted to ask, so you kind of hinted at your last line. I can't say it for quote, but you said with passion and
heart.
I don't know, it was amazing. And heart, anything is possible. So adding to that piece of advice, what advice would you have to future physicians, future nurses, anyone in healthcare, anyone pursuing any type of field as a young professional in general, or anyone who's older listening to this? What advice do you have to them regarding life, regarding medicine? Words from Dr. Brown. What is your final word for tonight?
I would have to say be patient and be kind with yourself. I think we as Black men overall, but us as young folks who have these huge hopes and huge dreams and things, we think that things have to happen at a certain time, and things have have to kind of be fixed, you know. And I can tell you that there's been a lot of curves in this, and like I'm very type A. I have a checklist every day. I have this and this and this, and even every day I'm always having to be mindful of it's okay. Like I didn't hit everything on this checklist, but I'm still here and I'm still headed forward, you know. And even when I fall, like it's okay, and just be mindful of the fact that it's okay. And I think honestly hearing those like it's okay is huge and it's very helpful. I think there are moments where I'm like, I don't know if I'm able, and I'm like, you know what, it's okay, like I am, let's go on.
Great advice, amazing advice, and you are the amazing Dr. Brown. So inspirational and such a light, such a guiding light award to Dr. Brown. So yes, I hope everyone enjoyed this episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it and didn't know I would. So I hope you did as well. Be sure to like, share, and comment on this video on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So you be great, babe people. Make sure you keep a smile on your face, and remember that guess what? That it's a feel good Friday. It's a feel good. It's a feel good. It's a feel good Friday. See y'all in 2 weeks.
All right, y'all.